welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things lipedema. So today's video is a little bit of a different one. I am starting a new series called Living with Lipedema, where I speak to a variety of different people who suffer with lipedema, and we cover a specific topic of their choosing and have a quick chat about it. In today's video I speak to Sarah, who I have become very good friends with, and we talk about mental health in regards to lipedema pre and post surgery. If it's something you'd be interested in getting involved in, feel free to send me a message. I'll include my email in the description below, or you can send me a quick message on Instagram. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Hi Sarah, and welcome to my channel. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel very honoured to be invited on.
Thank you for being on and hopefully being open and vulnerable and honest.
You know me. We'll chat about everything and everything.
Yeah, that sounds great. So today's video we're wanting to focus on mental health. You have the before and after surgery experience of the toll that it takes on your mental health, basically.
Yeah, I think that's something I've kind of had 3 surgeries now, and I can honestly say it's probably a combination of factors of the fact that I know me and a lot of other girls who kind of squeeze these surgeries quite close together. So I think surgery in itself has a huge toll on your mental health, but then you combine with the fact that you squeeze it all into a relatively short space of time, and it's just like a Molotov cocktail for your brain.
Yeah, and it's not addictive, but once you start seeing results, that's when you want to keep going. And also that you put your whole life on hold. Obviously if you're paying out of pocket, you've got to save, and I felt like that took a big toll on my mental health, that I was just purely focused on surgery and I was not going out and not doing the fun things that I liked, and I was working more. And I know that you have been posting how much you're working to cover your surgery.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's one of those things where you're always, and then you get the kind of flip side of thinking, oh God, you appreciate that you're in a fortunate position to be able to do. But like you said, I think there's a lot of sacrifices go into it for most of us. And like you said, putting your life on hold, like I've kind of started my surgery journey with the thing of I can't really getting dating again, and things like that, because I feel like what you go through with surgery, it's not ideal.
No.
Well, personally, because we've all, I think anyone who follows me has seen I've turned into a complete lunatic through the surgery process.
There is science behind it. I know that someone told me when you have liposuction, there's estrogen in the fat, so it gets released into your body. Because I had, interesting time after all my surgeries.
Yeah, definitely. So you're kind of looking, you're like, who am I anymore? But
yeah.
But no, yeah. So I think definitely seeing the impact of surgery. And obviously, I'm in the thick of it at the moment, which is why I think it's important to talk about it. Because I think you find when I post about my bad days, get so many messages from girls being like, me too, that's how I feel.
Yeah. And
like I said, I think we'll kind of pin all our hopes on surgery fixing our lives almost.
Yeah.
And then it's quite a harsh thump back to reality when you get through surgery and you think, I still don't love looking at myself in the mirror.
Yeah. I'm
still picking flaws and I still don't feel amazing all the time. Which, that's not to put people off. I don't want to make it seem like defeatist, as in I'm saying it's obviously surgery is life changing, but you've got to really, I call it lippy brain.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we get lipedema, in arms, legs, stomachs, neck, wherever. But I feel like lipedema in the brain is definitely a thing, and I don't think they can liposuction that out, but I wish they could.
Yeah. I think it's important to remind people that surgery isn't a fix or a cure. It's just a way of stopping progression and improving symptoms. I think people, especially, well, I don't know actually, people who are earlier stages, it's good that they're getting the surgery, but you still, surgery's not a fix for the mental side of lipedema. And And
no, I think it's a really interesting point actually with the earlier stages, because I'll be completely honest and transparent. When I first discovered the lipedema community, I found that there weren't, because I think I got diagnosed as kind of like late stage 2, early stage 3. And I found it quite hard to get my brain around kind of, obviously like earlier stage. I'm going to caveat with this, I'm going to say I've progressed from this mindset before we get people onto the jugular. But I did find it quite hard to get my head around, girls getting surgery when they're before legs are kind of like something even with surgery, my legs will never look like that. And I found that quite tough for me. But I've since, like I said, thanks to the community, I've also seen the flip side of like, they do get all the other symptoms, and like I said, it's in everyone's own brain. Like I get messages from girls saying that like, I had a really nice message the other day actually of one saying, when I was kind of saying I was really self-conscious of the backs of my legs still and stuff, and she was like, no, like I've shown your photos to my surgeon. It's like what I want my bum to look like and things, and it's all subjective. And then I've spoke to a few girls who've said about how the earlier stages find that in the kind of like official awareness raising posts from the associations, they tend to just put later stage photos on, which then makes it harder for earlier stage girls to explain it to other people. So I think the one thing I've come to learn is we're all facing the same battle.
Yeah, and we all need to focus on ourselves. So we've spoke about it before, where it's very easy to compare with other people and look at their surgery befores and afters, but ultimately you need to focus on yourself and what you need, and what the best thing is for you to accept your body. It's not about loving yourself. I mean, you can if you want, great, but it's about acceptance. And I think with lipedema, knowing that you've got it for life, even if you have surgery, that's an extra battle for us. And I suppose it's easy for me to say because I've done a lot of work on myself, but it is a choice kind of for yourself whether you do the work or you don't. And it's just difficult.
Absolutely.
It's difficult.
No, I think that's why this community is so helpful, because to be honest, I wasn't aware that I hadn't done the work and got through the work until like even recently. I think, so obviously I've been posting a lot since my last surgery about the like mental, like it's essentially post-body dysmorphia, which I think is the main thing where I like after my last surgery was kind of posting what I thought was me showing my results not looking great, and some people think, you're posting to get the compliments and stuff, but actually I found one, like the compliments were what sent me over the edge, like and I'm obviously like, this sounds really weird and a bit twisted, but it really just upset us because I was just like, my brain is not seeing what everyone else was seeing. And I think that was this kind of like scariest / most upsetting part of it, because I was like, everyone else is clearly seeing good results, and there's no reason for all these like hundreds of women who don't know me to be telling us they look great if they don't. And you just think, oh my god, literally Libby brain, that's what it is. It gets us. And I think we've mentioned before, even before surgery, and I talk a lot about mental health post surgery, because I think it's one of those things where it would never have stopped me getting surgery, and I was roughly prepared for it, but I think it can be so isolating. So it's important to kind of say after surgery, but pre-surgery, the mental effects of lipedema, and I think it's only with hindsight, but I think like from a very early age, I've always kind of with family and friends like felt like I need to kind of not show off, but like highlight what I'm doing, like eating healthily,
like prove that you're doing the right things.
I've always felt I need to prove to everyone. Look, I'm doing X, Y, Z and that, and as much as it's not until I got my lipedema diagnosis that people kind of admitted, and I don't have any ill feeling towards them for it, but people admitted like, I always just thought you were kind of binge eating afterwards, that you'd spend the whole day with us eating very little and then go home and binge eat or that you were like just lying about what you were eating and stuff like that. And they didn't judge us for it and like things, but they just assumed, because they were like, well, if you're doing all these things, you should be about 20 kilos lighter than you are in their eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and obviously, like we've said, like that, obviously the impact that has on your brain, and kind of like having to battle, and then you get this diagnosis and you expect that that's going to be a weight off your shoulders. And I think, I don't know how you found it. I expected diagnosis to make me feel so much better, to like be like, oh, I've got an explanation for it now, I'm not going crazy. I think it did that for about 5 minutes, and then I just went into this total panic of almost being like, get this alien out of me. Like,
yeah.
And obviously you can't cure it. So how did you find it?
I'd say generally it was a positive for me, because I've always been in a bigger body. I've been to the GP a lot about it, and they've always just done the usual. But when I heard about it on the radio, on BBC Radio, I went and just Googled it, and I was like, yeah, that's what I've got. And it was a big like sigh of relief, just that there's a reason why I am how I am. But you also do grieve that I've got this forever. Like, I'm going to be in this body forever. And I imagine a lot of like people that have any chronic illness have that. So it's good to have a reason, and even a label. Like, I quite like having labels because, for me anyway, it just, you can look into it and it gives it some like weight, really. But I'd say I had that aspect where I just grieved, and I still do. I still, even after my surgery, I'm really at the minute feeling quite insecure about my arms because I've got a lot of loose skin, and it never goes away. I think from very young we have had other people focus on our body and how it looks. We've had, so it means we are constantly looking at our body and focusing on our body, and I don't think that stops with surgery, because then you're wanting to see results.
I think as much as you can tell yourself not to go into surgery, you know, like wanting results and expecting, I think deep down there's a part of us that's been conditioned to aim for that. And Dr. Wolf posted something in a caption recently-ish, and it said that, you know, your decision to have surgery should come from a place of self-love and self-care, not self-hate. And I'll put it out there and be entirely honest, I don't think that was the case for me. I think I did go into surgery thinking I hate my body and it needs fixing. And it does make me think now, like, that's maybe one of the things where now I'm battling so much with the mental aspect of, you know, the harsh thump to reality that, oh, you know, getting the lipedema taken out of my legs and stomach hasn't fixed my brain. But I thought that was a really, I hadn't looked at it like that, but I think it's true, like, in an ideal world, easier said than done. But yeah, the surgery should be a choice to kind of like, well, it's medical treatment, isn't it? Like you've said, like in Germany, they acknowledge it as a medical necessity.
Yes, yeah.
And that's what it is. It's looking after yourself. But I think a lot of us, I just say this because I've had other women say that, you know, they felt the same, kind of go into it as kind of like a, on the offensive. Like we're declaring war on lipedema. We're declaring war on lipedema. We're going in with the like suction bazookas, and you kind of tear your body to the ground, put it through hell, and then you're like, hold on a minute, why am I still at war with it? Why am I still battling it? And you think, oh, actually,
I think I'd say most people are the same as you. I think it's hard for me to think back because I don't really remember, but I'd say I went into it thinking I need to change my body. It wasn't a self-love thing, it was a self-hatred thing. And it's a really hard habit to break. But I think surgery, obviously I'm in a position of like privilege saying this, but surgery really does complicate kind of recovery from like self-esteem issues, because even though it's a medical condition, there are physical results from it. Even posting before and after pictures can be triggering, which I completely understand. It can be for me as well, actually. But also, part of the medical surgery is debulking and removing volume, so it's just.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's really intrinsically linked, and like you said, it's quite rare for a medical condition for there to be this direct link between treating non-visible symptoms at the same time as creating a visual and aesthetic result.
That's so good, such a good way of putting it. That is a really good way of putting it.
It's very rare for me to put.
Yeah.
This is just what I have to do all day for work, is just take people's words and try and make it sound good.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, it's so rare for that. I mean, maybe I'm trying to think like cleft palate surgery and things like that, but other than that, it is so rare, and it's really hard, because like you said with before and afters, like I post them, and obviously I try to post them and add, you know, kind of like the difference, like for me, and it's the one thing that I'm kind of trying to focus on to help the mental battle post-surgery is, you know, thinking about how much better it feels, like the pain that is gone, the mobility that's increased, but like you said, at the same time, with that comes down that it looks different, or like it looks better.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what other point I was going to make. My brain just ran out halfway through it. Like, but I know what you mean. Like, yeah, posting the before and afters, and kind of like, I think that's another thing where I've kind of, I was focusing a lot on liters removed, something that you can tell if I sound like a pretentious arsehole here, but I've kind of stopped posting so much, and like I've taken out my bio the numbers of how much I've had removed, because I'm like, I've spoken to a few girls now who are like, oh, I only had XYZ amount removed, and that's impacting how they see their results, when actually it's like sometimes you don't need more than that removed. That is all that needed removed. And I think our brains tend to focus so much on numbers, whether it's weight, inches, litres removed, that it's just another thing to compare. I think we've touched on this before, haven't we? It's like, it's a fine line between sharing experiences and comparing.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Yeah.
Which, like you said, like you've got to think like, oh, you post and you're having a hard time after surgery, and I know a lot of girls have said this, you get into a mental battle with yourself, and I think it's just because we're all generally nice and caring people.
Yeah.
Is that we're always aware of, we don't want to upset anyone, and obviously you've got to acknowledge that you're fortunate to have surgery, but then you don't want to upset the people who haven't had surgery,
and you don't want to sugarcoat.
Who can't have surgery.
Yeah, you don't want to
sugarcoat.
sugarcoat.
But then also you don't want to suppress your experience, and you know, I think it's a lot less isolating when you share that you're struggling.
Yeah.
And that you go, and I think we all get burnt out from surgery as well. I think it's something I've spoke to Dr. Wolf about, is I know why I crammed them all together, because like you said, you feel like you put your life on hold, you work so hard to fund it, you just sink all your money into it, so it feels like everything's waiting until after you get your surgeries. But I think doing them so close together, I think it's something that probably needs regulation. Because a lot of girls, I know Maya, my Lippy and me, she's the same. You kind of get to surgery 3 and you get entirely wiped out. And I know that there's Patricia, Irish Lippy lassie, I remember hers, she'd said she's postponed her next surgery because of the impact it takes. And I think that's one of the like wisest and bravest decisions I can think of doing, because I've got a break now before my arms kind of imposed, but I'm so glad I do.
Yeah.
Because you just go into total burnout, like
you're constantly as well. Travelling, then recovering. Like recovery isn't obviously the instant after recovery is tough, but it's weeks afterwards.
Yeah, like weeks, months, and like you said, like you have like a few weeks and you think you're over the worst of it, and then all of a sudden, I don't know about you, but I always seem to get like a second wave of fatigue that comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, I should be back to normal now, but why am I all of a sudden tired again?
Yeah, and then you've still got to do your everyday normal life alongside the recovery.
Yeah, so, and like you said, like you've got people work and people going back to work, and I don't know how people do it with kids. And honestly, hats off to all the mums out there getting lipedema surgery, because I cannot imagine being a mum and being responsible for anyone else when I'm busy weeing all over myself, tired, moaning, being a mardy cow because I don't feel great. And I'm like, oh my God, imagine. So I think we underestimate how much we put our bodies through and our minds through.
Yeah.
And I kind of think, I think like counselling and therapy is definitely something that it's a hard one, isn't it? I think it should be kind of like in parallel to surgery.
Yeah, like as normal as it is getting MLD and stuff.
Yeah. But also, who can afford therapy alongside MLD and surgery costs? Like, that's the thing. Like, I think I've said to a few people, I should be in therapy. But at the moment, you know, budgeting wise, like I'm already spending, I've only just stopped going for 2 MLDs a week, so I was looking at £100, £150 a week MLD on top of surgery costs, and you can't afford it. But we probably all need the therapy.
I'd say it'd probably be one of the most important parts of it, because that has like a really lasting impact on you from surgery.
Yeah, because I think I know a few surgeons do what Dr. Wolf does, the HADS test, so the Hospital Anxiety and Depression test, Hospital and Anxiety Depression score, before as part of your pre-op assessments. And it's always what I always, me being the anomaly that I am, I'm quite fortunate in that outside of lipedema, I generally don't suffer with anxiety. I really feel for those who do, because I've had a slight taste of it, I think, with surgery, and kind of like maybe the closest I come is that feeling of some mornings where you look and you're like, oh my God, my lipedema's grown back overnight. Which is impossible.
Yeah.
I know fine well it's impossible. It doesn't work like that. But that kind of gnawing away in your brain. But I think that score is quite important to factor that in, because I feel like if you are, and I know this is easier again for me to say because I've had surgery, but I think if you are suffering a lot with anxiety and really struggling with the mental effects, surgery is probably just like throwing fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I think like now, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm just sounding so negative about it all, but
it's a massive life change. It really is.
Yeah, definitely. And then you've got the whole aspect of like, not all of your family and friends will understand it, so I think that's why the positive is, I will say, like the lipedema community.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is, I think it's amazing.
So we've had a great conversation today, and I think to round it off, it'd be great for you to share 2 or 3 ways that you manage your mental health when you're having a bad day, or either what you did before surgery or after surgery or now. Just 3 things that you can think of that help you.
So I think, because I think, like I said, I want to put it positive. It's not all doom and gloom. I think the main thing is kind of like just reminding myself, repeating to myself that it will pass. It's temporary. Same, I mean, it does go for like the feeling good. I know that I've got to really appreciate the moments where I am feeling good about things, because there will be a moment when that passes. But the negative, you've got to remember, it's just your brain. And I think that's why I keep referring to it as lippy brain, because it is just another element of this disease, essentially. So it's normal remembering that so many other girls and women out there are feeling the same thing, but it will pass. So sometimes you've just got to kind of sit tight and hang on. I also am a big fan of going for my little walks to a bit of fresh air. It sounds so stupid, but honestly, sometimes you get out, have a bit of fresh air, and you think, and it kind of like forces your brain to stop thinking about it.
It does.
very rare for you to feel worse after a walk.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is sometimes it's okay to let yourself just be angry about it. Obviously, I'm not about wallowing. I don't think you should let yourself wallow or just fester in the negativity. But I think we'll put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes to be positive and to be like, oh, well, it could be worse, or, you know what, sometimes it's all right to just say, sorry, you might have to bleep this out, but sometimes it's all right to just say, you know what, this is shit.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's like something that I allow myself to do now, whether it's related to my body image, lipedema, like any of the, like even my stroke, anything. It's like, unless you feel it and just get through that crap feeling, you're gonna have to, if you don't do that, you're gonna push it back, and then it's gonna be 10 times worse. Push it back, 20 times worse. So I completely agree. It doesn't feel good, but that's when your first point comes in. You feel crap, but you remind yourself, I'll get through this. And even sometimes I say, in an hour, I won't feel as bad as I feel now.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're really good tips. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think sometimes it's all right to just sit there and think, fuck off, lipedema.
Yeah.
Like,
we're entitled to be angry. It's not fair, and it's a lot to deal with.
So yeah, I'd say that was the main one, being angry, because I think sometimes being angry can kind of drive you to say, well, actually, no, I am gonna, well, maybe that's just me because I'm stubborn, but
no, I think it's a really good point. No, it's a good point, because to be happy and positive is, you use a lot of energy to do that. And
oh god, yeah, like, can you imagine if we could only post on Instagram like when we were positive and happy and uplifting?
I know.
Oh my god, I'd never post. I'd have disappeared by now.
Same. I love a good moan.
Oh, absolutely. I love a good moan, a good rant, and then, like you said, it gets it off your chest. It's just not wallowing in it. I think that's the thing, kind of like indulging yourself in it, have the anger, lash out, have the moan, have the rant, but then you've got to move on from it. It's a slight bit of discipline needed to pick yourself up and go. But no, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you thank you for doing this. You're my first video. Thanks again to Sarah for today. I really enjoyed our chat, and I hope many of you have learned something new or just can relate to it. I'll include Sarah's Instagram name somewhere here. And find me on Instagram. My username is @fat_bottom_Amy. Thanks again for watching today. I hope you'll join us for the next video.